Welcome, everybody, to Broadcast Team Alpha, where we bring you cutting edge conversation while exploring the quantum possibilities. And we're going to do it again. We're doing it again tonight with a topic that, even if you've been out of the loop, even if you've been somewhere off grid, I think you may have heard a glimmer of something about our topic tonight. So grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, because I think you're going to want to take some notes. Before Augie tells you about our wonderful guest, I just want to thank you for being here. Thank you for the lovely and dynamic chat that goes on in the chat room. Thank you for your super chats. Thank you for your generosity. It helps defray the costs of the show. And we are just always so grateful for your love, whether it's monetary or energetic. Energetic is the best though, right? Everything is energy. All right. Augie, tell us about our guest, please. Chat that goes on.
Yes, I will. We have Michael Andrews with us. And this is going to be quite an education. I want to say a few things about him. Michael is a master day trader, a real estate investor, and a cryptocurrency expert.
What?
He has, yeah, that's just what you said.
Exactly.
And he has shown thousands of people to trade and how to get involved in cryptocurrencies and avoid the pitfalls that we've all heard about out there. We will have an education tonight beyond probably what you will find anywhere else, because we need it. Everything is going electronic now. The time of the Rothschild fiat money central bank system is drawing to a close. And people, they just discovered the scam, so it is going away. And then what? Then what's going to happen? There is a replacement and is being prepared for us. It is going to be some form of an electronic currency, much of it cryptocurrencies. It is already huge. People are making millions with it. The scam. Global banks are buying it by the huge blocks. US Treasury is talking about putting out a cryptocurrency, and it is coming everywhere. Countries are starting to accept cryptos as nationally acceptable forms of payment. How about that? Businesses are taking it now, not all of them, but a lot of them are starting to take cryptocurrencies as payment. And we will be part of the cryptocurrency system, whether we like it or not. It's coming. It is designed into our future. But the question is, though, that will we be dragged along into it, or will we be dragged into it by also being financially independent at the same time in the process? So I've been talking enough. I want to introduce the expert here, Michael Andrews. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, Michael.
Welcome so much, and I truly appreciate being here. I'm very grateful and thankful to be able to share on these platforms, because it's imperative that people get this information, that they get it as quick as they can, because it does affect you timing it properly. Everything and what you explained about my background has all been about focusing on timing. I'll give you an example of what I mean. You know, if you're looking at the Forex market that I've been trading in is a $7 trillion a day market. I mean, it's absolutely huge. And so in that space, what we've been able to experience, and as so many people would love to experience, is that it's economy proof, it's recession proof, and also it's election proof. So how you would like to be in something that no matter what happens around you, you have the ability to make money when the market goes up and when the market goes down. And so for so many people, they look at me, it's like, how in the world can you be able to make money when the market's going up and down? But through the proper training, you're capable of being able to do that. The whole thing about the market, and these, as Agi said, is so imperative to take notes, because the information I'm giving you, I literally charge thousands and thousands of dollars per hour to give this information. So I'm just giving it tonight in a benevolent way because I want people to win. But there's three things that you really want to focus on when you're actually trading or you're investing. You want to make sure that you're doing technical analysis. You want to make sure you're doing fundamental analysis, and you want to make sure you're doing sentiment analysis. All three of these combine to really help people to become successful in the markets. And that's the start. And I know it seems kind of difficult when you're listening to that, but actually over time, it becomes as similar as tying your shoes as you're going throughout your day. And you can really follow the markets and have a lot of success. So I wanted to just kind of start there.
That's awesome. That is
That's
awesome.
good.
So
I
what?
had already.
Go ahead, Augie.
No, there is so much involved here. I don't even know where to start. What do people need to know first?
Well, the biggest thing that they need to know is you need to be around someone that has education and understands it. Our group right now, we're helping people to start from the very beginning to becoming an expert. And just to give you understanding, we were talking about this before, and CoinMarketCap, a lot of people, you may not know about that site, but if you just go into CoinMarketCap, there's 19,393 cryptos, right? And there's 526 exchanges. So with that being said, you almost can't understand why so many individuals are trying to figure out, what do I do? And that's really the whole target of this conversation, is to understand that, yes, make sure you stay in the whole time, because we're going to discuss what are some good opportunities that are out there. How can you figure out the good ones from the bad ones? I mean, there's so many. How do you lock into what's real and what's not? So that's something that's exciting. So make sure everyone stays on, because I'm going to be talking about some of the ones that have really been awesome for our clients, individuals who have come through us. We've had tens of thousands of people come in through our system and have phenomenal success. We're going to talk about that as we get closer to the end.
What is actually, you have a digital currency, cryptocurrency, and there's some terms in here, the blockchain protecting it, and what are those things? Maybe make it simple so people like me can understand it.
Yes. So let's start with Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin? Well, Bitcoin is a decentralized digital currency that was actually created January 2009. And the white paper, which I kind of consider like a business plan, came out through a pseudonymous Satoshi Nakamoto. And this is someone that still to this day, we don't know who it is. But what I want to explain is to make it a little bit more understandable. But, what Bitcoin really helped was these three things. And we're going to talk about these three things a little bit later too. But it really helped for lowering transaction fees. And I like to always talk about Bitcoin as a wire, for people to understand. We know that if we go to Chase Bank, Wells Fargo, or any other bank, we know that when we go there and do the wire, that the movement of the money, it's no armored truck that actually came from one bank and went to another bank. We know that was a digital transaction. So the same with Bitcoin. It is a decentralized transaction that allows people to be able to move funds from person to person. But what makes it so powerful is that most people were trying to figure out, okay, just like having a digital book, we know that that digital book could be reproduced multiple times, and it's not ever the same digital book that you started with. They're just copies of it. And so with Bitcoin, they made it where now it's cryptograph, which allows it to be where there's a ledger that everybody can see. So just imagine having a ledger, a financial ledger that everyone in the world is able to look at. And through mass computing, which we call mining, allows it to be able to have transactions. And it's pretty deep. I'm not going to go so deep, but I just want to make sure it's very simple for people to understand. But that's what it's like. It's kind of like doing a wire transfer from person to person, but not needing a third party in between. So what do I mean by that? So I want to kind of go into the blockchain, because the blockchain is the system that allows this to happen. So what is the blockchain, right? Well, the blockchain has core advantages. That's decentralized, again, cryptographic security. It's very transparent and immutable, but it allows for information to be verified and the value to be exchanged, meaning that individuals can exchange things amongst each other without relying on third-party authority. So that stops, the issue with all of the fraud that is actually going on right now. And I always tell people, 70% of the credit card transactions right now are fraudulent and chargebacks. So the blockchain became a system that allows individuals to be able to now have something that they can rely on, that no one's in between the process between you and the person that you're sending to. There's no one there now. So how great is it that we have a solution that solves the problem that so many people were having? So that takes us to coin.
Michael,
yes, go ahead.
Can we just back up? I don't want you to go too far, so I can't fit this in. Can we go back 1 minute? So just the inception of Bitcoin. So in my mind, when I think about traditional money, I'm thinking somebody put in a ton of money to start this, right? How does that happen with Bitcoin?
Well, it's not really, it's all technology. So it's really
Right.
not someone that put in a whole bunch of money.
Right.
It's more of power and electricity. And that's really where the fees come from, because it takes a lot of electricity, even though now they have found ways to really deal with the electricity as well. But it's really just electricity. It's all technology. So it doesn't cost a lot of money at all, and not for you to really do it. So that's the beauty of this. It's not something that's highly expensive or something that really cost a lot. I mean, it really was this technology that people created that allows us to be able to be free of third party. And what we mean by third party, we're talking about governments, banks,
Right.
Employers being in the middle of your transaction, which is pretty impressive.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry.
No, fantastic. And please, I encourage to make sure that this is like a conversation, because it helps when we actually break. But I just wanted to make sure that people are getting some of the definitions of what this is, so that it makes sense to them. The platform makes sense. And so when you start to look at the coin, what is a coin? What is a Bitcoin, for instance?
Yeah.
Well, cryptocurrency is it's like digital cash that's independent of any other platform. So it doesn't depend on the central bank. And this is going to be some of the reasons later that I'm going to talk about that makes it so powerful, because it's not dependent of any other platform. It stands on its own. And a coin was really set for the exchange of value. What do I mean by exchange of value? Well, for instance, you have BTC and you have USD. Well, you have the ability now to exchange BTC as a cryptocurrency with USD. So let's make that even more clear. If you have USD and you go to Japan, you're going to have to exchange it for yen, right? So that exchange happens now through even the cryptocurrency space, because it's built for the exchange of value. Give you even more clear view of this as well, because I'm trying to make sure that anybody that hears this can be like, okay, I'm really starting to understand this now. Yeah. If you were to go to a store, let's say Walmart, and you said, well, I want my friend to be able to come here and shop. I want to give them a gift. So we know where we're going with this. You buy a gift card. Right. And with that gift card, in order to be able to have your friend purchase there, you have to put money on it. Let's use $100. So now that gift card has $100. And now when you go to the store, you're now able to use that, your friend is able to use that card to do transactions. Well, the same thing with Bitcoin. In order for you to get a Bitcoin today, and I was just looking this up, you would need $31,000 to buy just one of them.
Wow.
Last year it went to 67,000. So what I tell people to do to understand how big this got, and we're going to talk about this a little bit, is just, even if you don't have the money, take some fake money, right? Put it on the table, put 30,000 of them next to you, and just say, wow, I need 30,000 of these just to get $30,000 to get one Bitcoin right now. And that's when you start to understand why this is becoming an answer for so many people, because all you need is one and you have enough to buy a car today.
Wow. Wow.
Now, if you go back to 2009, this same Bitcoin was only $1. I mean, was 1 cent. Excuse me. I always have to stop. I can't believe where we are today. But it was 1 cent at 2009. It's really less than 1 cent. So in order to get to a number, and I'm just going to use this as an example too as we go through this. I'm big on that because as an educator, I like people understanding things just so they can be like this. Okay, I'm getting what you're saying now. But just imagine, I'm just going to use the number because I always use blueprints for people, and the blueprint I use for a lot of my students was just imagine you purchasing 50,000 Bitcoins back in 2009. You will only need $500. Imagine that. $500 to buy 50,000. Okay. Now, to give you a little bit of background of where Bitcoin has come, just so that you can understand the impact of this, I always do this as well. In year number 1 and 2, it was at 1 cent. Year number 3, in 2011, it got to $1. So just imagine if you had put in $500 and you had 500 Bitcoin at that time, just going from 1 cent to 2 cents, you would be at $1,000, right? So now let's just look at that 50,000 tokens. We're going to keep that in mind as we go, as just how easy this was to really become successful with this. Now, year number 4, it went up to $13.45, 185% return at that point. Year number 5, Bitcoin went from $13 to 1,100. I'm stopping here because I want you to understand the impact of what we're going to be talking about even later. But if you just use that $500 investment that we're talking about, and you have 50,000 tokens, at that time, just hitting $100, not the 1,100, but this $100 that year, you would have been at $5 million.
Wow.
5 million. Now, getting to 1,100 with the same 50,000 tokens that you bought at $500, you would have been at $50 million. Now I'm going to advance this to 2017 because this is when Bitcoin really started to be heard. It got to 20,000 per Bitcoin. That same 50,000 tokens would have yielded you $1 billion. $500, remember this, $1 billion by the time you hit 2017.
Wow.
See the impact of this? And
Wow.
I go over this because I want people to understand, if you get in early, right now, Bitcoin is at 31,018 at this moment of this webinar, right? 30-some thousand. It got to 67,000. The thing is to focus on what is out there. We're going to talk about this later. What is out there where I can get in early at a low amount and be able to realize some of these numbers. Now, we can't guarantee anybody anything, less like we couldn't guarantee Bitcoin was going to get where it was. But what we're saying is that you can use past history to help you to analyze future so that you can make better decisions so people won't miss these type of opportunities. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the next thing that Agi was talking about is token. Right?
Yes.
Because what we have is actually a token. And tokens are absolutely powerful because a token represents what a person owns as of regards of what they could own. okay, with a coin. And so to explain that, if everybody that has a car knows that if they pay it off, they get the title to that car. The token's the same way. The token is just like, the title to the car, and it allows you to be able to exchange because you have complete ownership of it. So that is really what a token represents when you're actually looking at that particular purchase towards coins. Coins are exchangeable, but tokens can be utilized for investments and transactions. And so that is something that really gives the difference between the two so that people really understand. So I want to just kind of stop there because that kind of goes over the main points of what is Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
What is cryptocurrency? Just to reiterate that cryptocurrency is a denomination that allows you to be able to do exchanging on the blockchain through transactions. So, these are all definitions and things that as you get involved, you definitely want to get to know what it is. So just wanted to kind of go there.
Yeah, and I also know that most government now, they are actually recognizing this as a form of currency, lawful currency within the country. And cryptocurrencies, we know they go up and down and up and down in value. But there are also one that you told us about. I have watched that one for about 7 months, and it has gone up totally all the time, never taken one dip down. But I think we want to talk about that just a little bit later because this is what people need to know about. But a little more education first, because by going cryptos, we're solving some problems by interference with government also.
Yes. Yeah, and that's
I want to hear about that.
Yeah, that's an awesome point. And that really takes us to really the next part of it, because as you start to get your education, and remember, I'm only touching certain things tonight, but what I want you to understand is we have a full education program that takes you from A to Z. What we do is help people. We give people VIP treatment. We take them from A to Z, making sure that they don't fall into pitfalls. And I'll talk to you about those pitfalls later. But that is exactly, what we're encouraging people, helping people to get involved with this in the safest manner so that they don't have to go through the problems that so many of us has gone through. So what problems, and I want to go back to that to go into what you're saying, Agi, as well, but what problems did cryptocurrency solve? And the first problem that was the biggest one was allow people to be self-banked. Why is that so important to be self-banked in the first place? Well, one, so many people today, if they don't have the proper credit score, they can't even go to the bank and open up an account. How devastating that is that you can't protect yourself. You can't do transactions because your credit's not quite where it needs to be. The other thing about cryptocurrency that it really helped in general too is going back to that 70% of the transactions that are completely fraudulent. And then, of course, the lower transaction fees. But one of the things that I'm super excited about when it comes to being self-banked is exactly what we're discussing about governments and, employers, unfortunately doing things and causing major issues with really people who are really innocent. So let's start with our first example with Canada. What happened there? It was very sad, but they seized bank accounts from private citizens that did absolutely nothing wrong. And you got to understand, this is a big problem because that's the trust. Each client is trusting that the bank would hold their funds and not allow anybody to steal their deposits for any reason. But without recourse and due process, that's what happened. So being self-banked is very important. Secondly, very sadly, because in both of these areas, I'm going to talk to you about later how we were able to help people with our platform, but also the severe economic sanctions that were leveled against Russia. I mean, it pretty much shattered the illusion of bank reserves and the SWIFT-based money transfer system. Basically means it really didn't count for anything because people were literally unable to utilize their funds. They had no control. They were trying to use Visa, Master, Google Pay, and Apple Pay, but they were not able to do anything during that time. And these are the things that really, when you are self-banked, you don't have to worry about this because you're separate from the government. You're separate from the banks. You're separate from the issues of maybe your employer being involved with your funds. All of these things are very, very helpful and really big for helping people to have another option so that if they need to be able to buy groceries or do loans or receive payments or whatever it may be, the banks nor the government will be able to destroy that for you. Another thing I wanted to talk about as well is what you were talking about in the very beginning about the G7 group. And that's actually headed by the UK. And that literally is the creation of the central bank digital currency. We call that the CBDC. Now, this particular currency is trying to be a competitor of Bitcoin, right? So what are they wanting to do here? Well, instead of you going to Bank of America or HSBC to open up your bank account, you will be having an account with the central bank that will be loaded with the CBDC. Now, why are they doing this? What's the point of this situation in the first place? Well, they understand that fiat money is becoming increasingly worthless. If you did not look at the May 3rd announcement that was done by Jerome Powell, who is the chairman of the Federal Reserve here in the US, he just said we had a $9 trillion debt portfolio. I want you to understand the magnitude, $9 trillion. So how do you get that back? Well, his focus is to increase interest rates. How devastating that's going to be for all of us. So we need answers for these big problems that are coming up because these CBDC are going to be programmable. They're like vouchers. So it's really similar to the Chinese social credit system that really, they track everything that you're doing. So let me give you an example. Let's just say you're eating something like a salad. And they were like, okay, you're okay with that. But we noticed that the steaks and the burgers you're eating is too many. So we're giving you a monthly quota. So we're going to cut you off. So now these central, bank digital currency now doesn't allow you to purchase any more of what you want. Let's just say you're online and you're saying certain things and maybe they're just not completely pleased with it and you want to travel. Well, they can completely shut that down. So just imagine what we're going into. What option would you want? Would you want an option where you have cryptocurrency that allows you to do what you want? Or would you want this digital currency that's being created from these countries, states, and governments that have programmable digital currency that's like a voucher that they can cut off at any time that they want? This is what we're heading towards day by day. And this is their way to get control of us being able to go out there and do what we want with our money. So this is imperative for everybody that's listening to this. Get yourself prepared. I'm not trying to scare people. I'm just giving you facts. Right. These are facts. All you have to do is go to the Telegraph. You'll get the information of this G7 group. This is not me saying it. This is them. They're actually letting people know that this is what they're doing, not me, right? If you look at Forbes magazine, you'll see what I'm talking about, this $9 trillion debt that they have to incur, right? All of this information is at your fingertips. So I want you to understand that there's no information I'm making up. You can go and get the facts. Mike Adams is a gentleman that was talking about the different countries and what they're going through. He was a person that truly didn't think of that digital currency or cryptocurrency was a solution, but now he's purchasing it in the article that I was actually referencing. So this is all things that it's very powerful and something that people need to get in control of now.
Seriously.
I see we're coming up to the bottom of the hour here, and we are going to run a short video, which I really recommend that you watch, only 30 seconds. And then maybe Nori will say a few things about it afterwards. So let's do it, Mac.
here. Okay. All right, guys. So that little promo is to begin to introduce a parallel universe, if you will, that Broadcast Team Alpha is creating. So we're keeping our regular programming here on Broadcast Team Alpha, but the health and lifestyle show is going to open it up a little bit into the body, right? The spiritual body, the emotional body, the psychological body, the physical body, and embodiment, because we're going through a lot of things, you know, spiritually and light body wise. And when all of those things happen, how do we perceive it? We perceive it in the body and in our beingness. So we're going to have all kinds of great guests and information that helps us to not only navigate these times, but to really thrive during these times in our body, in our life, in our relationships, with our money, with our crypto, right? Because, you know, we came here to be in this vehicle, and we're going to begin to take care of it on all levels. So that's coming soon. So let's get back. I am wrapped by what Michael's saying. This is the best, Michael. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, I'm so excited for everyone, because I know what it's done for so many people. And it's going to continue to increase as technology continues to excel. We have to have something that keeps up with where it's going. And that's truly what's going into the next thing that we're going to be talking about, which is, you know, what companies and what groups are getting involved with cryptocurrency that we need to keep an eye on. And I'm going to tell you something, this year is going to be one of the most impactful years, because we're talking about mainstream companies. And Fidelity Investment, everybody knows who Fidelity is. Most people do. If you don't, they actually are the holders of the most money for retirement funds, the most money in retirement funds. You got to understand the impact of this, that they're hedging now, that they're saying at this time, wow, we're going to now allow 20% of our clients' portfolio to be put towards cryptocurrency. Do you understand how big this is? This is like humongous, because right now we're right below a 2 trillion. We're at 2.6 trillion last year at some point inside of the crypto space. This 20% represents another 2 trillion and more that they're going to be dumping into the cryptocurrency space. So if people ever thought at any point that this wasn't real, that this wasn't going to stay, we're here now. We have arrived. Why? Because you're dealing with retirement funds, that's stable. We're not any more talking about pumping and dumping, where the whales come in, people with a lot of money come in, dump it, push the price up, as we've seen, and then the price plummets. We're not talking about that anymore. We're talking about real, tangible money that now is going into the system, the crypto space, where now it's going to be there and stay there. So just imagine what's going to be happening when all the other retirement funds follow suit, because that's just one retirement fund that has 2 trillion they're putting in 20%, and think about all the others that are coming with it now. This is something you have to keep your eyes open to, because where is all the money? We know it's in retirement funds, right? We know it's been always there. Yeah. And you know what's really devastating? You know, every call that I get, we're working with clients, because a lot of people don't know, can I use money towards cryptocurrency? And the answer to that is yes. A lot of people don't know that you personally can self-direct your own 401k or IRA and have control, meaning that someone's not taking money from it, that you have control personally, legally, without taxes, to be able to put your funds into cryptocurrency. Well, what is the qualification? Because not everybody can qualify, we know that, but individuals who are 59 and a half qualify and above, right? And people that had a job that no longer are working with the same company that they have their 401k with, and they're with someone else now, have the ability to self-direct it, because we have our custodians that help you with this legally, to be able to now take your funds And if you decide that you want to put more, you can put more than 20%. Why would you want to do that? Well, we had thousands and thousands of individuals last year that took their complete amount. We're not saying that you do this. I'm not a financial advisor, nor am I a CPA, but they actually took their funds and put it completely into our currency. And we're going to talk about that later. And they were able to double the amount that they had. So imagine having 100,000 in your 401k going to 200,000 in just 5 months. In a year's time, the currency that we're talking about went up 5 times. The question I have for you is, what can you put your funds in that will give you a 5 times return on your money?
Yeah.
This is highly impactful. This is not a game. This is a reality. You know, also what we're talking about has its own exchange. It's actually listed right in Wyoming, so it's registered here in the US. It's not something like Bitcoin where we don't know who the owner is. We don't know who made it. We're talking about something where you know who made it and you're getting success, as Agi said, that's never coming down. So just imagine being able to take the money you have, move it to something else that's growing in value as a regards of something that is declining in value. I was talking to someone today, for example, and she said she's had $70,000 in her account. She calls me back and she was just furious. She says, Michael, I cannot believe this. I said, what's wrong? Because I knew she hadn't looked at it, right? And she says, I only have $50,000 in my account now. I've lost all of that money. So just imagine you being in a situation where you're thinking that you're going to retire off a certain amount of money and you're not. That is devastating, absolutely devastating. So that's why it's so important to look at what the big guys doing, look at the whales, look at what they're doing. And we're just seeing Fidelity, the first one, the one that has the most funds, actually saying that we're going to put our money into cryptocurrency, right? This $9 trillion deficit that we have right now, imagine this. What are they going to do? Of course, they're going to boost the interest up. Of course, that's going to make our dollar go down. So what is your option is what I tell people. What if you were like those people in Russia, like those people in Canada, and you had no other options? That's why I tell people this is a financial survival tool that we have that allows you to be in position where no longer do you have to worry about the government, the banks, or anyone else being involved with your transaction.
It's amazing.
And I see also, go ahead, Nori.
There's a question in the chat room. There's a couple. There's some dialogue in here talking about, you know, are the elites mixed up with this, you know, the pedophiles and all that, but we don't even need to address that because
no, actually, let me touch that.
Yeah,
let me touch it a little bit because this is a concern. But yes, with Bitcoin at one point in time, that was what it was. But what a lot of people don't know, they came in and cleaned that out. A lot of people don't know it was a complete clean out of that. A lot of those groups are shut down now. They saw what they were doing, and because the good groups got involved, they were like, well, wait a minute, what are these people doing? And they were able to lock in on those individuals and actually shut that down. So with ours, of course, you don't have to worry about that because we know who we are and we're vetting people. We make sure that we understand who our client is, who our customer is, who's working with us. We're making sure that that's squared away from the very beginning. So we're not just going to allow people to dump money in this and they're not telling us who they are. You know, we're going to make sure we know who you are.
Yeah, and I know also that a lot of these cryptos out there, they are just a file cabinet in the Cayman Islands somewhere without an address, but you do have an office.
Yes.
Yeah, so there is total transparency.
Yeah.
And one other question. Will XRP be the international coin, or have I misunderstood that?
It's one. I mean, a lot of people think that there's just going to be one. Just always know that's not going to be the case. Our space, we're too resilient to have one of anything. I mean, we're never going to just have one of anything. XRP is an answer because it does have what we call the gold backing and things of such, but there's other currencies that are going to be around for the long term, and this one that we have is going to be that way as well, that are transactional. That means that the price is going up because of transactions. A lot of people don't understand that, money is created off of transactions. If you look at your credit card, if it didn't have the problem with the third party, it creates income off of usability, off of transactions. That's what's actually creating the value to go up. Some people may challenge that. Well, let's go to that challenge. I want to really go at that part so that you understand. There's only 300 million of the tokens we're talking about. What happens when a token is no longer available? If anything is no longer available, what naturally happens with the price?
Supply and demand, the price goes up.
It goes up. This is easy economics. I just want to make sure this is very simple economics. But no matter what it is, we saw in the crisis that with COVID, that water went up, tissue went up. Why? Supply and demand. So with the token that we have supply and demand. We are not printing any more tokens. None. So that 300 million that we have, there is no more printing. There is no printing presses that are printing this token day after day. Once the 300 million are gone, then we call it fractionalizing, and people will only be able to get pieces of it because the price is going to go up. The token that we're talking about is the only one that has an exchange in the US that's under $300 right now. That's big. That is huge. So that is the reason why the prices are going to continue to go up. It's like having a Picasso. There's not many of them, so the price goes up, right? So the same thing inside of the crypto space. Yes, there's some currencies, coins out there that have a lot, trillions, maybe even billions of coins. That's not us. We only have 300 million. Out of the 180 million that are discounted right now, only 15% is left at this time. So that is where the value comes. It's because of supply and demand, and because we're using a transactional token that is made for lifestyle. So give you another example of Bitcoin compared to us, right? Bitcoin is a hammer. We are a screwdriver, okay? Bitcoin is used for certain things. We're used for certain things, but it's a lot more. So Bitcoin was used for exchanges, but not transactions. Why do we know that? Well, with Bitcoin, if you do a purchase, who knows by the end of the day, because we know it's like a 5% drop today. Just today was a 5% drop. So if you have Bitcoin in your possession, and let's just say it was $3,000, and all of a sudden it dropped 5%, and you were going to use that $3,000 for something specific, would you have enough money today to do it? The answer to that is easy. No, you would not have the money to do it. So that's the issue with Bitcoin. Well, inside of our ecosystem, we're going to talk about how we fix that as we get closer to the end. But we have fixed with our ecosystem problems that Bitcoin cannot solve. Why? Because it wasn't created technology-wise to solve that specific problem. Right? So that's just some of the things that I want you to understand about technology. Yes, XRP is there. It has a particular function, but not functions for everything that you need. And that's where the problem comes from. And we'll talk about that as we go.
Wow.
The one thing that I wanted to talk about as well. Do you have another question too? I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that.
No, thank you.
Yes. The next thing I want to talk about is where is the direction of finances going towards right now? And you're going to start to be able to lock in and see by just looking around. And I just want you to take time to look around. Everyone talks about taking time to smell the roses, right? I want you to take some time and smell the roses of where finances are going. It's very clear where it's going.
Smelling coffee.
Right. The one thing is Fidelity. We just saw the biggest group in the planet right now for retirement funds actually say they're going to exercise using Bitcoin as a way to increase the amount of returns for their clients, right? But who else? So let's talk about that. Colorado, if you actually check out the news with crypto, you'll notice Colorado is now saying that we are going to use cryptocurrency for people to be able to pay taxes. We're hedging towards people being able to use crypto because we're not sure where the economy is going. especially with the problem of this $9 trillion. We need to get paid. So we're going to make sure people can use crypto to do so. Wyoming, which is the most crypto-friendly state right now in the country, is now saying that we're going to have our own digital currency in our state. Amazing, isn't it?
Wow.
Amazing. It's absolutely amazing. All you have to do is open your eyes and your ears and see the shift that's happening. Fort Worth, Texas. I was telling a lot of people for the last year, I said, don't leave Texas out. Trust me, they're coming. They're coming and they're going to do something big. It's just a matter of time. So now they're first in Fort Worth, Texas. They're now mining Bitcoin 24 hours a day for the next 6 months.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, the answer is clear.
Wow.
It's cryptocurrency. It's digital currency. It's, as we said, Russia, when everything went wrong, what did they do? They went to Bitcoin for the answer. That's what they did. I'm just giving you the facts. We're not giving you anything, no smoke and mirrors here, just complete facts. It's all that we've been doing up to this point, and we're going to continue to do that. But I just wanted to kind of stop there because I heard y'all commenting, but how crazy is that, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah,
exciting.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And also,
yeah, go ahead.
also, I read foreign newspapers, and I know that the big banks are getting involved. I know several months ago, I read in a British newspaper that Royal Bank of Scotland bought $200 million worth of cryptos. 200 million.
Yes.
And they used their, well, of course, they create money out of nothing, but they still used their currency to buy the cryptos. So it shows up on the balance sheets. And that's how comfortable they are with it. Now, Russia, like you mentioned, they opened up for cryptos. And the conflict that is going on right now, I think it's going to spread all throughout the world. And the company that you are working most with, I think they're about 90% totally sold out. So when that is sold out, the price is going to go straight up.
Yes. And I like that you were talking about that point because, you know, you talk about companies, but you also want sometimes to think about where the big whales are heading, right? And so I was looking up these individuals, you know, Peter Thiel, Mark Cuban, Mark Anderson. Right now, he's actually pushing even more money into it. He already has a lot of Bitcoin, but he actually is buying even more now. Mike Novogratz, Tim Draper, Henry Kravis, the Winklevoss twins, they own a lot of Bitcoin as well. These are individuals who are like saying to themselves, we have to get more. And these are people who have the top people researching where things are going, where things are heading, what they need to do at this time. So this is a good spot to really talk about what I said if you stayed on the call the whole time. I want to dig into what we're doing right now, why I decided to really look at this particular company. And it's because they have an answer for multiple problems that people need. I always tell people it's easy to make money. All you have to do is invest in something that solves billions of people's problems. That's it. If you can find an investment that solves billions of people's problems, you don't have to worry about money. You just don't. It's going to come to you. It's like this. If you're the only person in the street that has water, who are people going to buy it from? They got to buy it from you. So right now we're first in multiple situations that billions of people need us. It's just all a matter of fact of just people getting to know who we are. So let's touch that real quick. Well, the first thing is our IMC token. That's what it's called. iMoney Crypto is a token that, unlike so many out there that go out there and buy on an exchange, you're buying directly from the company. Okay. I want you to understand the difference. If you're buying from the exchange, it's retail. If you're buying directly from the company, it's wholesale. Give you a real estate situation, right? If I right now go to a real estate agent, I buy from them, what am I buying? Retail. But if I actually buy it from the bank at a discount because of a problem maybe with the property, I'm getting it at a low price. Why? Because I'm going to go in and fix it and put it back to where it's supposed to be. The banks don't do that. right?
Right.
So the same thing with the coin. If you can personally get somewhere before everybody else, you're now purchasing something at wholesale. That's where we come in. So don't go and purchase on the exchange. You are now hearing from the person that can get you right to the owners, right to the people that can give you it at an amount that will really be worth your while. But let's talk about some of the benefits that this coin has compared to others. Well, one, as we said, it is registered in Wyoming, in the most crypto-friendly state. You want that because that state is the state that the whole country is looking at as being the example for all the other states. Understand that, okay? That's where you want to go. You want to go where they're making an example of all other areas. So Wyoming started this, okay? Our attorney, Richard Slater, is a powerhouse, okay? This gentleman has created 28 laws in the crypto space, and he's working with us. Powerful. So that's giving you the understanding that one, we're on Wyoming, another we're registered, and the next thing we have an exchange that actually can do 1 million transactions in a second. That means it's faster than everything that's out there as well. That's huge. The next thing that's really powerful is we have the GPoint community. Well, what is that? Well, the biggest issue that everyone's talking about is what? Volatility, and we need stability. Volatility, and we need stability. Well, how has this group fixed that? Well, just like the gift card that I was talking about earlier, where you can go, you can pay for it, and it's literally dollar for dollar. Our GPoint is $1 equals 1 GPoint. So when you put $1 out, the GPoint is $1, which gives us that brother and sister relationship that, yes, the IMC token can go up in value, but the GPoint is our stabilizer, where when we need to buy something, we can move our IMC token to the GPoint, which means there is no fluctuation. And anytime we need to make a purchase, we don't have to worry about the price dropping that day or that week. This is humongous. Matter of fact, Mark Cuban said, I am looking specifically for something stable because I need to do transactions in a stable way. So 3 people here, and we're going to move quickly through this, but how does this help a consumer? Well, a consumer now can go to a store, purchase something, and the vendor take it because now they know that the price is not moving anywhere. That's why so many companies out there are not accepting Bitcoin, because they're trying to figure out how to stabilize the transaction. Because at the end of the day, if they made $1,000, they want to have $1,000 at the end of the day. Well, that's where our GPoint community comes in. They now can specifically have our financial tool that they can use at their store. And when people come in, they can now, with a QR, be able to purchase transactions with the GPoint, right? They also can use a Visa card that we have through NetSpend that they can use and make their purchase. So now you have currency that's stable that can actually do transactions. Now, the other issues is that people are like, well, Michael, what is the fee to be able to, move money from person to person? You're going to love this. With the GPoint model, there is no fee. Remember, we were talking about lower fees. Bitcoin has lower fees, but of course it's going up because there's so many people. Our fees will always be what? 0. So now moving money from person to person, kind of like Cash App, Venmo, unlike their platform, it's not free, right? If you do it right away. On our platform, it goes to the person in a nanosecond without you making a payment. How great is that? Now you can do a transaction, no fee, in a nanosecond, and it doesn't have restrictions on what you send. So imagine that you don't have a restriction of $1,000 or $500. You know what Zelle and Venmo, and they got restrictions, right? Well, with our situation, there is no restrictions there. So the GPoint community has stabilized the transaction. So when we're working with merchants, or we're sending money to each other, imagine having someone in another country and you're trying to send money, no more Western Union, no more MoneyGram. You're now sending money to that person with no fee instantly. Now that is a major solution for billions of people's problems, big time. Now, if you're a trader like myself and you're on this call, you may be thinking to yourself, well, Bitcoin went to 67,000, right? Well, How about having it where it went to 60,000, you moved your money to GPoint, and now it didn't come down to 30,000 where it is? Imagine you're trading now with that. The other thing is that we also have no pump and dump here. You know, people have heard about that, where now when you put your funds in, it's actually locked for 6 months. Why? Because we don't want whales coming in, pumping the price up, and then dumping and leaving all of us saying to ourselves, what happened, right? What happened to the price? Why is it so low now? And then finally, as I said, we are getting close to selling out on this. So now's the opportunity where you, instead of paying the 52 cents that it's at now, can actually be able to get it at 37 cents, because you're getting 40% extra this month, because our focus is to go ahead and sell out so that we can now be able to get the returns that we all dream about and have it go from 10 to 100 and potentially even higher. There's no guarantees here. We can't guarantee, but if you look at other tokens and coins out there, you know, you can kind of see through history where things are going, if that makes sense. So I just want to pause there.
Good. That's good. We only have about 4 minutes left. So anything that you would like to be sure gets said and how people can reach you would be wonderful.
Yeah, definitely. You know,
before you do that, Michael, I want to say something really quick, and that is that 7 months ago, I think maybe 6 months ago, I did get involved in this one, and in 6 months, it is well over doubled, just from me doing nothing, basically nothing, and I see, when I look at the scale of the growth, it is going a little bit fluctuating like this, but it's always gone up. It never taken a dip down. And that is powerful, but I'm concerned because I've been in the market too, and I lost my southern end on a lot of these things.
Most definitely. That's where the experience comes from. And that's why it's imperative for people, if you're looking at this, to get experienced people helping you. What we do is we take people from A to Z. We don't even let you mess up. Give you a quick example of what I mean before we wrap up. I have multiple friends that would be billionaires today, but what happened? They lost their password. They can't get back into their wallet. These are things that when you go through the proper training, and when you go through people who are educated, you don't have to go through that. You don't have to go through the pain of, I made a mistake. So here, we don't allow you to do that. We help you through it until you feel comfortable and confident. And then at that point, you can say to yourself, I feel good about what we're doing. Again, we have education from A to Z. If you want to be a person who's just a beginner and go to a person that's a trader like myself, we have education for you to be able to do that. And being able to get started properly, we have the education for you to do that as well. So how do you get going with us? It's just very simple. It's just, what I would like you to do is to take this down. I want you to email us, email me, and I want you to put in there freedom, okay? Because we're trying to make sure people get free. That's why I have plans that I help people with so they become free. So I want you to use the word freedom so I know you came from this particular call, this webinar. And what I want you to put in there is your first and last name. I want you to put in where you're from. That's always good. And then from there, a number that we can reach you so that we can get back with you and make sure that we can step you through precisely on how to get involved. So what is the email? So it's OKAYWANDREWS@gmail.com. So okay, Mr. Andrews @gmail.com, because I'm always saying okay to people most times, right? So I'm just going to create that. So again, that's OKAYMRANDREWS@gmail.com. And again, just put freedom and your first and last name. Of course, I'll have your email if you send it, and just a number that I can reach you and where you're from, so that I know that I can get back with you and that we can take care of you Typically, it's myself and other members that will be getting with you just to make sure that everything goes the way it needs to, and that you're in the system and that you can be able to get the returns that you truly deserve instead of actually taking the losses that everybody seems to experience right now. And through education, you will be able to continuously do that with our program.
Yeah, and I want to remind also that we have a global audience. So tell him which country you're in so he doesn't have to call you at 4 a.m,
Yes.
you know.
Yes, please do that. Tell me where you're from. That's why I'm always asking where you're from, so that, yeah, I'm not calling you so early or late at night. Either one. Yes.
Wow. What do you think, Nori?
I think it was amazing.
Yeah.
Yep. You want to take us out, Og? It's 9:01.
Yeah, I really appreciate you, Michael. And this was quite an education. And I think we had people listening. And it's going out on the platform on all 16 of them. So there's going to be people that will hear about this tomorrow when it goes on the other platform. And they will get, whenever they listen, they have the chance to get to you. And I suggest absolutely make the contact, because there is more information that he didn't have time to talk about now. And there is more specifically maybe to your country or your region. And this is something that is important, because if you are in a country where cryptos are banned, then there's no need to even talk about it. But, or maybe there is, because, hey, here's a thought. I've done this actually on your computer. If you use, you can set it up so your computer can be housed in another country. And that way you can participate in all kinds of things. So maybe you could tell them about that too. That's very private network, you know.
Definitely. Yeah. We'll definitely support you with that.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
everybody. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. Michael, thank you so much. And just
Thank you for being with us.
Yeah, really good stuff.
You are welcome. I really appreciate the platform, and just being able to speak to people and get to them as soon as possible. That's the point.
Yeah, that's great.
And
all right,
we will be
everybody.
back
We'll see you next week.
next
Bye-bye.
week. And until then, be good to each other.